What's up, everybody? This is Josh coming to you with another episode of the Affiliate Marketing Show. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest affiliate marketing news, tips, and trends. Once again, Josh from OfferVault.com, the industry's largest aggregator of all things affiliate marketing. Today's episode, once again, is brought to you by our amazing partners at Pinup Partners. And you already know it. They're turning 8 and they're throwing an insane competition with a ton of promotions. One of the craziest competitions the iGaming world has ever seen. Get ready for over 500 prizes, hundreds of challenges, and a prize pool worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. This could be for a seasoned affiliate or whether you're just getting started. Either way, the chances to win are massive. It's split up into 3 stages, running now through the end of the year, with daily challenges, instant rewards, and so much more. You could be driving off with a luxury car or maybe attending a party of your own in the Alps. That's right, these grand prizes are crazy and unforgettable. Ready to dive in? It's simple. Just sign up with their bot through the link in the description of this video or audio form, podcast, whatever method you are listening or watching on, and follow the guidelines to get started. The clock's ticking. You don't want to miss out on this epic anniversary event with Pinup Partners. Once again, we're welcoming back Mr. Paper Call Adam Young. It wasn't the same without you, sir. And also the industry legend Harrison Gevirtz, as well as our special guest today, John Casto, founder of JC Lead Gen, as well as Bulletproof Scaling. He is an expert and focuses attention on delivering high-quality traffic from social traffic sources for several verticals such as mass tort, insurance, solar, and others. What's up, John? How we doing?
What's going on, guys?
It's a pleasure to have you on the show as another face of the industry, should we say, with your content. I've been wanting to have you on the podcast for a while. Always love to talk about lead gen, and I don't want to waste any time because our time is valuable today. So let's jump right into it. In terms of lead gen, can you tell us where it's at today and kind of the biggest takeaways on how it's evolved over the past couple of years?
Yeah, I've been in this space since 2000 or 2022, and I've seen the biggest change has been, I would say, the quality, right? So just buyers really pushing back on quality of traffic. And then you also have a pushback on the publisher side where costs are increasing, to get a lead for refi or auto 3 years ago, 4 years ago with Facebook traffic, which is basically all I do more or less. It's a very different landscape. Not that it can't be done, but that's one of the biggest challenges I see. And I see that too, because we've shifted a lot of our traffic towards CPA deals. So we're actually seeing it, like what the true CPA is on the retainer for a mass tort, for example. So I'm having that in mind when I'm talking with with the networks, my direct buyers on auto insurance leads or these other verticals that we're doing too.
Cool. I should probably unmute myself. This is my first time hosting. Cut me a break here.
He's
So you
new.
mentioned,
I apologize, John. He's on.
I started
All right.
scrambling. Like I was like, wait,
Sorry,
did I flip
no,
over?
you're good. I got guys working outside the house and I'm muting myself so it doesn't get picked up.
I'll take over. So, John, what's interesting about what you said, we see in the data too on the call side, which is that we see more consolidation of traffic, not less traffic. We actually see more traffic, but more of that traffic is consolidated to fewer parties. And I think a lot of the advertisers want partner diversity, but they also want less numbers of partners so that they can ensure quality. And they are paying a lot more attention to things these days. And I think it freaks publishers out. Advertisers want to see creative. They want to see landers. They want to see all different types of materials for what's going on. And a lot of publishers aren't willing to do that. We see the publishers that are willing to do that growing at a rapid rate and building rather large businesses. And the other ones tend to be struggling. So I agree with you, and I think this trend is going to continue, especially as the FCC rolls out the new lead gen rules. I think those new lead gen rules are going to drastically increase the cost of acquisition for a data lead. I actually think that it'll drive the price of a data lead up so much that it'll be essentially the same price as generating an inbound call. And I think we're going to see fundamentally a huge shift when that price disparity hits parity. Because why pay for data when you have a human that's ready to buy immediately? And not only that, but when you do outbound, the agents that are selling get frustrated. It drives consumers nuts. You have TCPA risk. Like, as the price per lead goes up, the downside and risk of those leads gets greater and greater and greater and greater. And so I think we're going to see a massive shift in the market from outbound to inbound. And a lot of companies are going to struggle with this, and a lot of companies are going to blow up and get huge. And I think anytime there's a shift in the market like this, it does create losers, but it also creates a massive opportunity for people if they're willing to work and try and figure it out. So these are the type of times that I always find the most exciting, even when you struggle a little bit, because the upside and the potential to build something is much greater than an entrenched market where there's a status quo. So I'm curious, like, you talk to a lot of people in the space, you do your own pod, and Ringba, proud sponsor of that pod. We love your content. I've been on your pod.
Thanks, man.
What have you seen talking to all these people? Like, you get, I think, more contact with a lot of people in the lead gen space than others. And so I'm curious what you think the sentiment is right now on the publisher side.
I would say transparency and trust, like, and relationships, like that always comes up, whether it's Anthony Sandrea, or even some of the smaller publishers that I've had on more recently, right? Like, everything is shifting towards the transparency and relationship building, just which goes hand in hand with the consolidation, right?
Do you think that publishers are concerned? Like, are people freaking out, or what's the general mood?
I believe that it's more the men in the middle, right? Your brokers, your networks, because they can't remonetize data, right? So the pricing is going to have to shift. And in my honest opinion, as the media buyer, as the affiliate, I think things are not right priced based on what the actual cost is off of social traffic or YouTube ads, whatever it is. I think a lot of these offers are priced at the bottom, right, in favor of the buyer, often after a rip or two from a few networks, aggregators, brokers, which makes it harder for the publisher because it's not like the price of traffic is coming down. And on top of this, the angles that typically align with the CPA these brokers and networks are pushing for is the stuff they don't want you to run as a publisher. So I think that we're in like a bit of a squeeze right now as we go into the one-to-one consent with TCPA. I'm far from an expert with it, right? This is just my understanding. So I think things will right price. In theory, the data should be more valuable, right? There's less people hammering it for the same thing. So I don't know. Maybe pricing will shift up on payouts in favor of the publisher, but also the quality of the data. I think we'll just gotta wait and see. Probably 12 months from now, we'll know.
I think that's why it's so important to get closest to the source of truth you can, and to understand what the actual back-end CPA is of the buyer. Because if you're not working direct with the buyer, generally speaking, you can't validate the CPA. And on a data lead, you can't validate the CPA at all. You just have to trust what they tell you. And so you really have to pay attention to what's going on with the advertiser. On the call side, you can just listen to the calls, listen to 200-300 calls, see which ones are converting and figure out the conversion rate yourself, ask a couple questions, and you can figure out the CPA. And this is something I think people rarely do. And if you can get the CPA data on either a data lead or an inbound call, you can sort of figure out where you're coming in the stack of partners and then use that to negotiate. And what I think is interesting about that is, for instance, in some of the insurance verticals, you'll see TV phone calls with really low conversion durations at massive payouts. And then you'll see TV phone calls with normal payouts and durations. And the difference being, I think the ones with the really high payouts understand the quality of what they're selling and they're better at negotiating. They understand the CPA. And then they're able to go buy higher quality TV spots and deliver a better consumer. And so the reality is understanding the CPA gives you the ability to negotiate so you can do the media buys. But if you're just selling to an aggregator or a reseller and you have no data, you're just trying to shave pennies. And so I agree
You're not
with you.
building a
There's gonna be
business.
a shift. Yeah.
John,
Yeah,
go ahead, John.
I was gonna say, just like the last 3 4 months, we've been heavy focused, like I mentioned, on pure CPA payout deals on multiple torts, and it's super interesting to see, like, you actually know exactly what your CPA is. I mean, the buyer's getting into a fixed price from me, right? But also the shift in the conversion rate is kind of crazy too, because you'll see the conversion rate fluctuate at the call center side, but it also depends on your volume, right? So like when you go to scale up whatever offer you're running, that's where there's a little bit more stability and consistency. But yeah, just seeing the CPA side changes how you look at things.
I was going to say some, talk about like quality and margin and, driving those two factors up as an art, as an affiliate yourself, and with your experience in the industry, like, can you talk to us a little bit about that art form? How can affiliates watching this pod right now drive up the quality and margin of those campaigns they're working on? What are some tangible things or the most important metrics they should be looking at to really achieve that?
Well, I think first it comes down to your relationship with whoever you're selling traffic to. Let's assume it's a network, because that's probably what a majority of affiliates listening to this are doing at the moment, especially if it's lead gen, where you get less real-time reporting on like calls where you could kind of guesstimate, like we were talking about, exactly where you are more or less. So I think just pushing for regular reporting is the first thing, right? Being honest with your account manager, your broker, exactly what you're running. Like, show them what you're running. Tell them whether they like it or not. I'm no saint. I've dealt with non-payments for doing dumb things, and
We all
I've
have.
definitely.
I mean, I hear
And
it over and over again on the show. Like, this industry is all about relationships, right? Would you say like that kind of ties in to the quality margin aspect as well?
That's everything. Tell them what you want to do, like where you want to go with this. Show them your numbers. I know a lot of people are, especially affiliates, are very afraid to
They're
show their cards,
secretive when
right?
they shouldn't be, John. I love what you just said. When Adam and I were affiliates actively buying media and stuff, we literally excelled by calling people and being like, look, here's what we're doing. This is a couple of our ads. This is our targeting. You like it, you don't, great. What do you want us to change? Just like fully transparent. And it got us places. There were traffic sources. We had campaigns that we had the exclusive for that vertical on their network. This was before Google and Facebook, et cetera, kind of owned all traffic or majority of all traffic. And, because there were other people that were trying to, maybe they had a bit of an aggressive ad, but they would just like, no, I only run these ads. And it's like complete not what they're running. It's like, no, that's not what you do. Like, give them show them your cards and you'll get a better deal. Like, it seems counterintuitive. I get it. It's like, when you look over like a cliff and you have the tingle in your hands. Um, I get it. Like, I'm going to show them my business. They're going to screw me. They're going to tell someone whatever. And 99% of the time, it just builds trust and shows people how they should work, with you and why they should work with you. Gives them confidence in
100%.
you.
100%. Yeah, like I'll send screenshots of, especially if we're losing money. I think that's the best time to show your cards, because it's like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, you're going to have to probably pause the campaign if you can't turn it around. Maybe the payout's too low, and there's some adjustments they can make. More often than not, when I'm just very direct with whoever I'm selling to, and I say, hey, look, like, here's where I'm at. Can you get me here? This is where I need to be in payout. for this to work. I don't know if you want me to exclude some states or run certain hours. More often than not, though, there's some give, right?
Can you walk me through how that ties into like improving quality though? Right? Because I can understand the margin aspect of it, but when it comes to the quality, is it more related to that or more just really picking up and moving where you're actually doing most of your work to find like a new audience?
Yeah, what I've found, and this is a ever-growing project with auto, for example, auto insurance. I've been grinding at auto insurance for months now, still have not fully cracked it. And I found that a huge piece of the puzzle for the buyer is they need certain criteria because the biggest things I get pushback on is first age, which everyone struggles with because it's more expensive to get under 60, for example, which is what they actually want. And
Why
then the
is that,
second,
by the way, just to not to jump off course here, but why is it more
with being
expensive under 60?
so it's just how the auction is with Facebook. I'm assuming there's more 65 plus available to deliver traffic to than 35 to 50, where that's like the sweet spot, right? But the payouts don't match that. So what I've been doing is we've been using our bridge page as like a interstitial survey where we ask age and filter out, and then we also ask the second kicker, which is are they currently insured? Because those are the two biggest things I get pushback on from our end buyers, and that's actually helped us with our main buyer increase the payouts. It's still not where it needs to be yet, but I'm pretty confident if we keep sending traffic and maintaining some margin in the process, they're going to keep bumping us, right?
You've mentioned Facebook a bunch, so maybe I already know the answer to this, but would you say Facebook is your favorite social traffic source? Do you work with the other ones? And also, like, what are the most notable differences between them? I know they're all kind of under the same umbrella, but do you notice any huge differences between Facebook and IG and TikTok and Snapchat and all this other stuff?
So I look at Facebook as just Meta, right?
Right.
Instagram, their
Yeah, yeah.
audience network, Facebook, and then we've started doing YouTube specifically, no search and no TikTok. And what I've been finding is I'm comfortable with Facebook. I've been doing it for 10 years. That's why I stick with it. It's what I know, right? But the reality is I've been testing more of our main offers on YouTube, literally the same creatives, changing nothing, just throwing it up. And we're actually seeing cheaper traffic and with just as good of intent, if not better, which I'm finding interesting. It's just it doesn't scale the same way. I think that's also what keeps me comfortable with Facebook is it's a little bit more predictable, whether you're running manual bids or auto bids. If you've been doing it for some time, you spend some kind of money on it, you know the feel of the platform. Whereas YouTube's it's new to me, right? But I know it has the same kind of patterns you'll see when you spend enough with it.
Why do you think the traffic from YouTube is working out better for you compared to Facebook? Do you think it has to do with, I'm sure it does, but the people that are using YouTube versus Facebook, or the way that each of those platforms is kind of shifting and catering to?
That's probably a part of it. I actually watched a video with Alex Ramosi, which I highly recommend you check out, where he broke down and rated for his content distribution. I don't know if it was on the paid side, but for content distribution, he broke down a comparison and rating board of X versus Meta, or actually, no, he separated X versus Facebook versus Instagram versus TikTok versus Twitter and then YouTube. And each one had their own nuances, right? Like the content type, but also the intent off of it. And he was saying that YouTube, it was hard in some ways where it was easy to like grow, for example, following on IG or Facebook, but the intent was just so much higher with YouTube, maybe because they're invested. But also, I mean, we're in reality, we're running ads in short form. I guess it's the YouTube, it's not Reels, but you know what I'm saying, like the vertical format that everyone runs YouTube in. And I think on the algorithm side, I believe, whether this is true or not, I believe that Google just has more data points, right? They're probably putting that creative in front of the right audience who may be searching for something relevant because it is this happy blend between search and interruption based marketing, whereas Facebook is more or less pure interruption.
I think YouTube, they call it shorts, right? Maybe.
Shorts. Yeah,
So
that's it.
when you're running ads on YouTube, are they mainly shorts or are they also like the pre-video ad that I see on a ton of ads where like you have to wait 5 seconds before you can click like skip to view your video? Because that was going to be my theory on maybe why YouTube is working out better, because people actually a lot of the time with those have to at least watch 5 seconds, and that kind of is, grabs their attention, where on Facebook you're just, scrolling, and IG you're
Yeah.
scrolling. Do you think that has anything to do with it, or are the ads you're running mostly shorts and not like the pre-video kind of thing?
We're heavy short, so give me a little more time and I could give you a better answer.
Okay, cool. Appreciate your honesty there. On your website, I saw a lot of copy related to mass tort, insurance, solar, and stuff like that in terms of the verticals you guys specialize in. What do you think's booming right now, and what do you think is going to be booming at the beginning of next year?
Well, we'll know in probably 4 to 6 weeks where ACA actually is. I think it could be big. I don't know if it's going to be as big as last year. I think there's going to be possibly a capacity issue with this three-way calling requirement that could bottleneck and throttle. I don't know how many agents are going to be available to take that three-way call to close the deals, right? So we may see. Well, I'm already seeing early caps compared to this time last year with ACA. Medicare is going to be massive if you're in, but you got to be in, right? Like we're getting some cap, but I don't think we're definitely not going to be one of the big Medicare players. Mass tort is making a comeback on the budget side, but with mass tort, I think you need another level of risk because typically you're running CPA deals, and with those CPA deals, your reporting's terrible. Like first of all, even if you're getting next day reporting or let alone same day reporting, which is very rare, you're not seeing a lead mature into a closed client for anywhere from 2 to 4 days, right? Like the main offer we're spending on, it's about 3 to 4 days on average to see something close. So I've burned myself a few times scaling aggressively, pushing more volume. My cost per lead goes up, but the conversion rate maybe will take a dip because it's an ebb and flow with the call center, right? And when you're living and dying by the CPA of retainers and actually closed clients, it adds another variable to it. So, like, do I recommend people do mass tort? Sure, but just be ready. It's a different beast than seeing in real time reporting, sending traffic to someone's lander.
So, John, we kind of just met each other for the first time in person in New York this summer. And, we have a little extra time to play with here, so I'm just going to selfishly ask a question of my own. What were you doing before internet marketing? How did you get into it? And did you jump right into pay-per-call, or was that kind of a transition process where you saw it was starting to blow up and you got in kind of at the beginning of that trend?
Yeah, so before I got into affiliate marketing, I did two different things. So I had a brick and mortar gym for about 10 years from 2013 until 2022 when we sold it.
Does Harrison know this?
You like
I don't
gyms?
know. Yeah,
Harrison
I do
really
like
likes
gyms.
gyms. Harrison really
Where was your
likes
gym?
gyms.
In Northern Virginia, so Fairfax, Virginia.
Was this
And
like
I
a
learned
pretty big, lots of members, or like a smaller? Yeah.
Was it like
boutique.
let's put it this way, was it like a club or was it like a needles in the locker room? I prefer the
we would see
latter.
it was to help moms lose weight, so less of the latter.
He means that
Um,
as a compliment when he says needles in the locker room.
I get
But
it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I'm
get
hoping I might use one, you know.
it.
So,
So
anyways,
yeah, so
I
I
just
learned
curveball.
Facebook
Josh lost
ads.
his thought. I ruined it.
no, no, it didn't lose my thought. I'm just trying to get us back on the rails. So, all right, brick and mortar gym. I'm curious, how did you get from there to where you are today?
Yeah, so I started running Facebook ads for my gym in 2014. I didn't understand what a good offer was, what a good sales process was, until I basically fell into Alex Hormozy's coaching program, Gym Lunch, before he was the Alex Hormozy everyone sees today. Uh, that taught me the power of taking cold traffic with a good offer and then closing deals, right? So that actually took my gym from maybe bringing in $10,000, $15,000 a month, which was enough just to keep the lights on, to $50,000 a month, which was pretty significant for a small boutique gym. And I knew I didn't want to open a second and a third and a fourth location. So I needed a different opportunity vehicle, which led me to doing dropshipping e-commerce 2017 until 2022, when I saw my e-commerce friends pivot into affiliate, mainly lead gen. A lot of guys were doing refi then, 2021, 2022, when the rates were really good. And I saw them making significantly more money with a higher margin, with less headaches that you did have with e-commerce, right? So I pivoted. I followed them. We stopped doing e-commerce in 2022. I got very lucky because I came into affiliate at the time of Camp Lejeune, if you're familiar with the Camp Lejeune mass tort. So I got in just as it was starting to boom. Probably one of the best offers you could land on if you have any experience with performance marketing. And I made most of my initial money in lead gen with mass tort, and that's what I've stuck to. But specifically Camp Lejeune, it was like everything kind of lined up at the right time.
Why do you think Camp Lejeune was such a hot ticket item at that time? Just because there were so many opportunities and like just so much to go around that everybody was able to kind of take advantage of it?
I think there was a few things. The first is, from my understanding, it was the first time the government had ever claimed full responsibility and guaranteed a payout, which everyone jumped in. Like it was like any kind of government program like ACA or Medicare, right? If you're on any side of the monetization, you're guaranteed to get payout one way or another. And it was high ticket. We're talking about retainers, not cheap leads or 12-month policies here. So that was a large part of it too. Something interesting though with Camp Lejeune, the offer itself, is it brought in a lot of fraud because of this. So the fraud came at the latter end of the timeline of Camp Lejeune, but nonetheless there was a huge appetite for it, right? And that actually, the ironic thing of this is that that's what from what I saw, that's what dried up a lot of the budgets and caused pullback in mass tort as a whole, because I think these law firms and hedge funds that back them took such a big hit with what they projected to earn off of Camp Lejeune. And in reality, after all the fraud and headaches, the dust settled, what they actually were going to walk away with, budget shrunk. And that's when I pivoted into calls last year.
I want to take us back to the Facebook ads real quick. Or I guess a better way to put it is like, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see people making when it comes to Facebook advertising right now, given the current ecosystem, all the changes that are constantly, happening within that area of the industry? What should people, not do to find success?
Well, if we're talking about just the media buying creative side of it, I think the biggest mistake publishers make is they don't test enough creatives. Like, we're testing hundreds of iterations, not necessarily like 100 unique scripted A to Z with actors and actresses. We'll take a few concepts and we'll spin off variations and iterations from that. Like, you never know what Facebook's actually going to like. So I think a part of it is the reality of what people actually end up engaging with, which obviously drives push in the algorithm and distribution and delivery, but also the predictive side of Facebook and what it predicts is going to deliver, what it predicts is going to convert. So I think it's impossible for us to guess exactly what that is. So the best thing we could do is put together a few concepts we're confident in, maybe original or based off of what we see in the ads library, and then create a mass amount of variations, iterations from that. I think that's the simplest way to put Facebook today.
What are your thoughts on AI generated creatives? That's something we've talked about on the show. I'm curious, like, do you dabble in that, or do you feel you're kind of losing that human touch that's so important to reaching that audience you're trying to get in front of?
I think that's some of the best stuff you could do, whether it's the TikTok AI voice that everyone's familiar with, like the robot voice almost. There's different voices of that, which, going back to my point of iterations and variations, you could take one video, like one video ad, and you could turn it into 10 just by doing different voices from the AI side. The AI influencers, that's huge. Like we use that. I'll tell you straight up, and it's some of our best creatives in combination with the motion graphics and ninja stuff that my creative team does. That's far outside of my expertise.
So I'll be honest with you. I thought Bulletproof Scaling was just the podcast until I did a little bit of my own research and I found out it's a lot more. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about Bulletproof Scaling, how it came to be, what you offer your members or, users of the website, and why people should get hip to it if they're not familiar with it, like myself, apparently.
Yeah, so I actually launched Bulletproof Scaling back in right at the, let's say, the tail end of COVID, 2020, 2021, when I was going through a lot of issues with my ad accounts going down with Facebook and getting banned for no reason. I think everyone that was running traffic at that point dealt with this in some way, shape, or form, whether you're running the whitest white hat offer or the most black hat thing you could find, it didn't matter. Facebook was banning people left and right for what seemed like nothing. So I created a solution and service where we basically were helping people create structures with their Facebook accounts, connecting them with resources if they need to buy farmed accounts, if they need to get access to real users that would rent them their accounts, if they need to get unbanned. So I basically created like an ecosystem and a service to help other publishers or even direct advertisers that were running internal traffic to problem solve Facebook. And that from there, I mean, I'll be honest, like I don't sell that as a service anymore. I don't think it's necessary for probably the last year and a half because Facebook has more or less corrected a lot of the false flagging, more or less. So at this point, I've just meshed it with my YouTube channel, the content I'm putting out, and I've got a school community. It's free. I answer questions around performance marketing, paid traffic. I've got resources if you need someone to unban your account. I just give it away. My long-term goal with this is to, I don't want to say become an influencer, but become a person in this industry, in the performance marketing industry as a whole, where it's free content, it's all on my YouTube channel, and I use those to create opportunities and win-wins.
What's your roadmap for creating content like that? For anyone that hasn't seen John's videos, it's similar to what we do, but way better than us. And
Did you go to
You guys
journalism
got some,
school, John?
like,
you guys got some awesome content.
what do you try to get out of the guests that come on to talk to you? Like, what do you think makes a good piece of content for the industry that we're in? Obviously, like knowledge and value, right? But when you're talking to someone on the show, what are you really aiming to get out of each recording?
I would say when I have a guest on, I want to know who they are, and I want people to see who they are, what makes them tick, what motivates them, what they care about, right? Because I think we could all just uh, on a very surface level talk like technical strategies, and that's cool. There's value in that too. But if you go back and watch half my podcasts, like I'm talking about them as a person, their life, why they do what they do, what drives them, what they believe their strengths are, their weaknesses are naturally, like as from a personality standpoint, from a skill set standpoint, how they overcome their challenges. I also like to ask people the good and the bad. I think it's a very false presentation to just ask people about the wins because I mean, especially in this industry where people are not transparent, they're often inflating their numbers, right? So I think it's always interesting to get people to open up that normally won't, and then just get asked in those environments. It's almost like I'm getting like a free consult out of it that I then get to go and share to the industry as a greater, which is always cool. Like it's a win-win. But what I found too is the guests I bring on is it opens up opportunities for them because I get them that exposure, but I get them that exposure from a very human place.
I just have one more question for you. What do you think of Harrison's new couch?
I'm confused by the angle. It feels like the couch is falling forward.
It's meant to also be an optical illusion. So I'm doing things correctly. And John, I have one question for you. We did an interview like what 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half, whatever. And you looked great. We did the interview, but when the picture shows you on this full screen, the Zoom here, you look very like rejuvenated. So like I don't know, you look great today. Did you have like a spa day, or did you come from like massage?
I came straight from a meeting talking about Facebook ads and
Must have been a very good
UPCs,
meeting
and
because
it was great. Yeah, just
or you have like an incredible webcam. Because I don't know, I look like a ghost, which means I'm malnourished, and it's true.
if I wasn't using my iPhone, I'd take a picture of the simple $47 lighting kit I have behind us. That's most of the secret.
Well,
And
make sure.
also these plants, because if you look at any of the big YouTubers, like these like 20-some-year-old multimillionaire YouTubers, they always have plants behind them in their podcasts.
Really? That's so
You know what the
interesting.
logic plays behind that? That's fascinating.
No idea why. I hate having to take care of these plants, so I actually don't like having these plants.
Oh,
But
those are
but
real plants.
those are real plants. You can see this one's this guy's hanging on
Bro,
like
Had better
literally.
days.
It's
Yeah,
like
shit happens.
it's like a little water once a week. I believe in you. You got this. I got more, but dude, I get anxiety from the amount of plants I have around the house. But I was going to say, make sure you check out John's podcast, Bulletproof Scaling, as well as all his other resources to become a lead gen expert, just like John. For myself, Josh from OfferVault.com, Mr. Paper Call Adam Young, the industry legend Harrison Gevirtz, as well as our special guest John Casto, founder of JC Lead Gen and Bulletproof Scaling. Let's make that paper. Let's make that dough. This was the Affiliate Marketing Show. We will see you next time.